Welcome back to episode 4 of Staying in the House, powered by gopherhole.com. I'm Daniel House, and we've been just talking with all these former Gophers to get up to date on what's going on with their careers. And as I was preparing for this guest today, I had to come up with a couple adjectives in my head to describe this person. And after covering them for a few years, I settled on infectious energy. This person exhibits energy and passion in everything that they do. One of the most well-rounded people you are going to find. He made a huge difference in the local community, was a key leader on the team. I'm really excited to welcome in former Gophers defensive end Winston DeLattiboudere to the program. Winston, how are you doing? Are you staying safe?
I am staying safe. I'm staying in the house. I'm listening to all the orders everybody's, going and abiding by. And it's not been the easiest thing, but I've been making it happen.
I want to talk about that. It's probably been a little bit of a difficult process here with everything going on with COVID-19. Have you had trouble getting access to gyms, places to even work out?
Yeah, the gyms are closed. So right now it's just been kind of like 2 or 3 guys, coming into the field or something like that when we're staying apart from each other, but we're kind of just doing like different bodywork exercises. So maybe one day we'll do a thing called 100. So you just pick like 10 exercises, you do 100 each of them. And, you're just trying to stay fresh, and you're basically fighting an uphill battle because this is not like anything we've ever seen before.
How have you been managing to get your stuff out to teams? I mean, the pro day is canceled. You don't have the opportunity to be in front of teams and scouts. How did you manage that? And what are some of the strategies that you've done? I see you posted a video with some of your workouts, but how have you been able to get in touch with teams and scouts?
Basically just through social media. I mean, it's beautiful that we've been living in such a illustrious technological age and period where you can get different things out to teams and different things like that very easily through the click of a mouse or a button on your phone. So as soon as I got the go ahead and record my videos, and different guys and trainers and mentors that I have said, that rep looks good, this rep looks good. I basically was like, I'm just going to record this, and then whoever sees it, I hope they see it.
What type of feedback have you gotten from people who have checked out your stuff, and how are you improving over the next couple of months here to try to get yourself ready for potentially having that opportunity to play for an NFL team?
Right. The first thing a lot of people said were, "Oh my gosh, you can catch the ball." So that was the big thing. A lot of people commented on my speed because a lot of the scouts were kind of nervous about that. So that was the first thing I honed in on as soon as I went to train, and just speed, running form, and different things like that. And then a lot of people have said I've looked smoother in transition. So my change of direction and things like that have really improved throughout these last couple of months. But right now, it's just going to be reaching out to, other former teammates. Sam Renner and I have been shooting workouts back and forth to each other, just trying to see what we can pick up on from the other person. Same with Tayon Devers, Carter Coughlin, guys like that. We've just been sharing workouts with each other and just trying to keep each other ready to roll.
And that's kind of nice to have a community of guys going through the same thing that you are. Have you reached out to any former NFL players, any past Gophers, to get some advice on how to navigate this process too?
It's kind of been tough because you kind of want to give guys their space in order to have their family time, but it's like you're on the edge of your seat because you don't know what's coming next. So I think that time will start to ramp up where you're calling the big bros, as we say, before the draft kind of happens. We'll probably be reaching out these next couple of weeks.
When you look ahead, what type of system do you think you'd fit best in, and type of position that you'd like to play in terms of technique? You play 5 technique. Is that where you see yourself landing with an NFL team?
I mean, I always love the 5 technique, and that's a classic for any defensive end. Even coming out of high school, you're like, okay, you know what, I got this. But since I kind of feel more athletic, feel more agile, I could kind of see myself standing up a little bit more and maybe playing a 6 technique similar to what Carter and Tayon and, Boye, those guys played on our defense this past year. So, I mean, I'm excited to see where teams think I can fit, but I just know I got to be ready for anything.
What do you think has separated you in terms of your film study process? I know that's one of the things I've talked with a lot of guys about, especially with the Gophers, and they talk about how the coaching staff has really done a nice job of teaching film study habits. What did
Right.
you take away from that, and how do you use it to elevate your game?
I feel like the biggest person that pushed my film study habits to the next level was Joe Rossi. Coach Rossi is so keen and laser focused on his details that it's ridiculous. And he was starting to find things in the film room that I would have never even guessed to have found. Him and Malcolm Robinson, actually, who's another person who's our like key film guy. Those two had taught me different ways to pick up on things and habits and kind of tendencies throughout this last season. So what I would do is every Thursday, I would go in the film room around 8 or 9 p.m. and I would lock myself in there until I couldn't watch film anymore. Until on Saturday morning when we're watching film again before the game, I almost wanted to throw up because I watched so much film. I was just tired of it. I knew the film like in the back of my head, like the back of my hand. So I feel like repetition is the biggest part with film study, but you don't want to be doing anything for no reason. So you have to know what you're looking for as well.
Which players have you been focusing on studying? Is there any guys that you really have taken a lot of technique from and applied to your game?
One guy that I actually spent studying a lot these last couple of months was Yannick Ngakoue. So I've been looking at him and, different types of pass rush things that he's been using and kind of like the relentlessness of his motor and how he plays, like his intelligence of the game. You can kind of see that gleaming from different players at certain points. And like, I'm eager to see what team he ends up going to or if the Jags want to trade him or not, or kind of what's the deal with that, because I've been studying him so much these last couple of months.
When you look at his body type, his similar skill set really fits what you're like and the type of role that you could play at the next level. So that's really interesting that you mentioned him as a comparison tool.
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Coach Rossi last night on Twitter shared your pro day video, and he called you one of the most selfless, hardworking players he's coached and one of the best human beings. Rossi obviously had a pretty big impact on your career. What do you have to say about Rossi and the difference that he made in your life and football career?
Um, Coach Rossi has taught me so much. It's almost unbelievable, and I feel like uh, what many people look for in a coach, Coach Rossi has the attributes of, like kind of like the coaches that you see like on TV or in movies and different things like that, like the kind of perfect coach. And he hates when we even kind of like, give him his props on that. But it's really true. And it's not anything illustrious or flashy or anything crazy like that. It's just simple. He used to teach three things: how, toughness, and technique. So your how being your passion and your effort that you're putting towards it, your toughness being your relentless type of attitude, and then your technique being knowing where you needed to be at what time and why you needed to be there. So with him teaching me those three things, it kind of accelerated my game and propelled it to a level where I didn't even think I would honestly be when we ended that season against Auburn last year in the Outback Bowl. So on top of that, just as a man, he's taught me how to be a family man, from different, aspects like that. Like I have my father and he's teaching me a whole bunch of stuff, in my newfound manhood right now. But being away from home, you have to have coaches that'll support you that same type of way in that same fashion. So the amount of, I guess, dedication and effort he puts into being a football coach, he puts the same thing into being a father. And I really love that.
As we transition here, I want to go into the film, and that's something that Rossi obviously helps a lot with. You mentioned that earlier. But what do you think, before we get into some clips that I pulled, what do you think are the key traits that a successful five technique defensive end has to have?
Well, I feel like toughness is the biggest one. You're not always going to be the biggest guy out there. You're not going to just be able to manhandle people all the time. So your toughness, hand speed and agility, not always in the pass rush, but in the run game as well. You can look through a couple of clips of me last year, and I would kind of just pull some tricks out of my hat and do different things like that in the run game because I was only 250, 260 pounds. So going against guys who are 325 sometimes, you have to be ready for anything and just being able to shift your weight and kind of like play a Houdini hat game with him is the best way to go about that. So I would say those things, and then just having a certain level of intelligence. It doesn't take a middle linebacker always to run a whole entire defense. If you know every position and you know where certain people are supposed to be all the time, then you could very much well so help that as well.
This is the perfect segue into the clips. I noticed how many film cuts that I had of you making plays against the run. And I was going to ask you some of the attributes that you think are necessary to make that happen. And you just answered it. Just being a guy that can be creative and thinking ahead, especially when you're the type of size that you are, you have to get creative. And the first clip here is an example. I'm going to pull up the clip right now and start it against Fresno State. Did you notice anything specific about this play in pre-snap?
So actually right here, I noticed by the formation that they were going to run this and I didn't even need to worry about the tackle anymore. So sometimes we'll go through different formational things where they only run certain plays out of certain formations, and we'll be able to see, and pinpoint different plays that they'll be able to run. So right here, let's say I had, I guess, 3-4 plays in my head. So I have 3 or 4 plays in my head, and then we have the general Thomas Barber behind me, who probably has only 2 plays in his head. Then you got different guys out there like Coney Durr and Kamal and stuff like that who might only have 1 play in their head. So we're just communicating. And at this point, as soon as the guard and tackle pulled, I was like, boom, yeah, it's time to go ahead and get the running back because that's my responsibility. So I knew somebody else would be coming down the alley to go ahead and take the quarterback, but I had to go straight to the running back right away.
You mentioned it, but one thing I noticed about this defense is the continuity it had at all levels. Like the communication was just off the charts all the time. How much did you notice that when you were playing? I mean, at all levels. I mean, you got Winfield in the back end, you got Barber and Kamal. I mean, just everybody. It's not just a few select group of people. It's everyone. How much did that play a role in the success of this defense?
That was huge. And one of the biggest things that I feel like played a part in that was Coach Fleck and the way that we practice in the environment that we practice in. When you go into onto that practice field, it's loud. They have speakers blasting and blaring. And if you don't communicate, you're just not going to know what's going on. Just at all. You're just not going to know what's going on. So something that we held to a high standard was communication this year. And everybody had to be held accountable for it. Like, I remember it was probably 1 or 2 practices where I actually wasn't the loudest guy out there because I might not have known what was coming next. And Carter's on my head like, hey man, you got to talk. If you don't talk, I can't listen to what's going on either. So, if I can know what's going on and I have the loudest voice, then I'm helping somebody who might not yell and scream as much as me. So it's just like a pinball effect. Like everybody's bouncing energy off of each other. And that's what I loved about this defense.
I think you'll really notice that in a few of the other clips too when we move forward here. The next one, I thought you maybe saw something here. Is this another tendency deal? It's a swing pass out into the flat here. Did you see a tendency on tape? I mean, you're breaking on this so fast.
Right. So basically on this specific play, I had the running back if he broke out and went out into the flats. So I had the running back if he went out into the flats, if he ran a reel, if he ran a bubble, no matter what, it was my man. And I had to be able to take him until the cows came home. So as soon as I saw him coming behind the quarterback, in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, big boy, get ready to run because that might be yours. And that's exactly what happened. So you see me kind of run past him a little bit and not run exactly at his hip from the inside. And the reason I did that was because I know Mariano was going to have my back coming from the inside out instead of me coming out from the outside in. So basically right there, I knew I would only have to make a half-man tackle. And that's where the trust thing comes into play because, you might think, I don't know if Mariano's going to get here. I don't know if this is going to happen, but trust is huge because I had to know that the young guy was going to have my back, and he definitely did.
Mariano was a guy last year that I felt like really developed in a hurry. How much did you see like him just take control and develop into a guy that really fit into Rossi's defense extremely well?
Well, if you ask Mariano, His answer might be, really nice on camera, but off the camera, Mariano probably hated me a couple of practices. I told him, man, look, if you're going to be a linebacker in this defense, you have to be able to run the defense. You can't be back there like right, left, left, left. No, I need confidence in your voice. I need you to speak loud, and I need you to tell me what I need to do. I know I'm an older guy, different things like that. But if you see something and you want me to go over there, I'm going to do it. A linebacker is just like a quarterback on the defense. So me and Mariano bumped heads in practice a couple of times, but I'm so proud of the strides that he's made, and he's going to be a great leader for this year and years to come.
I could even notice it in the spring session about him kind of turning the corner and becoming a key leader. I mean, that linebacker room now, you're really going to have some guys step up. So It's very interesting that you said that. In the next clip here, I just noticed to begin with, this looked like you're just kind of setting the pocket here. And we talked about this with Renner, how all these pass rushing sequences, everyone pass rushes together. It's a collective thing. It's not just one guy's rush. What do you notice about this play? And can you take us inside some of the details of how you collapse this pocket and force a quarterback to step up?
So one thing that we knew about this quarterback was he was going to get antsy. And another thing that we knew is Carter Coughlin is extremely fast, and he's going to make the quarterback antsy. So as soon as I'm seeing Carter coming over top of the quarterback, I'm like, okay, he might spin out and break, but Carter might catch him that way. So let me get ready for him to kind of like step up into the pocket. So that's what's going on right here. And something that was great about having Carter on the other side and then Mike Adu in the middle and Sam was nobody was really selfish with their rush, and everybody knew that somebody was going to get there, but whoever got there just needed to be ready to make the play. So, I'm totally cognizant of the fact that Carter is going to come over top of the quarterback, and he's going to make him very, very, anxious about, being able to stay in that pocket. So I was like, it might just be my time to kind of step up into it. And he just kind of ran into me and Micah as well. So it was interesting how that played out.
And then on the next clip, this is in the Auburn game. What do you see down on the goal line here? Ball's loose. I know you probably wanted the ball here, but what did you see on this specific play?
Well, I think his name is Prince. So yeah. Prince became a leaner as the game was going on, and I was like, well, Coach Rossi said I can use this move every once in a while, not all the time. But basically, I'm gonna shoot my hands like I'm coming out to engage on him, and I'm gonna pull the chair. So as soon as I pulled the chair, I felt nothing. It was weightless. He was gone. So I saw the quarterback reading Carter, and I was like, well, somebody's about to get this ball. As soon as I got away from my move, I saw the running back receive the ball, and I was like, it's just time to go attack. You can't wait down on the goal line or think or hesitate or anything like that. We needed to stop right there, and then I was blessed enough that my helmet hit the ball right on the nose. So,
and then it was all balls the program after that.
Ball is the program. And he definitely did not catch tip, tuck, squeeze, but he still got on it. He still got on it.
Next clip's Northwestern game. I really like this one, actually. Watching you get that spin move in there. And this is another example of, collective rushing with Renner winning his rep, and then you having the speed, the spin move coming off the edge. What do you notice about this play?
So right here is funny because me and Sam were talking before the game started, and I was like, I'm gonna do the outside spin today, and he was like, if you do the outside spin, I'll do the regular spin. So we were just kind of like going back and forth, and I was like, I'm gonna do it as soon as I get the chance. So right here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, that I had kind of won. And I was like, if he outruns me, I'm going to be so upset. And, Lord and behold, we got Sam Renner right there to be able to kind of pounce on him and, make that play. So I couldn't have been more ecstatic about that. But this just became a thing as the year went on about chemistry, cohesiveness, and just knowing about other guys' strengths and weaknesses. Some guys are power rushers, some guys are speed rushers, and you have to be able to kind of play and tinker with your moves based on who's in next to you.
Did you see any tendency that led you to believe that spin move was going to work coming into the game?
Yeah, the tackle's pretty young. I know that. So I know he had probably not seen an outside spin before. That's kind of like a very different and awkward move. But I also knew that I hadn't thrown an outside spin that whole season. So that's something that he couldn't have picked up on film from me. But he was kind of kicking kind of out of control. And I noticed that he was like shifting his body weight back and forth. So if I spun outside, it was probably like a 75% chance I was going to win.
Those are just a couple clips that I pulled out I wanted to use as examples. I think Winston gave a lot of insight into how he views the position, how he plays it, and the pre-snap stuff that's going on in his head, all the film study. It's all contributing to the success that he has on the field, and then collectively coming together, being able to achieve the rush collectively. That's a big thing too. In the second half of this, I really wanted to dive inside your mindset from in terms of your career at Minnesota and kind of reflect back on what you accomplished. And after playing in PJ Fleck's culture, getting the chance to really immerse yourself into it, what type of an impact did that have on you personally and as a football player?
I feel like the biggest thing that it changed was making that community service aspect so normal. And normalizing things can have an extremely positive effect or an extremely negative effect. And just hearing different guys talk about different things that they were doing throughout the week, or, you know, different things like that, it was just cool to see because we didn't see that as being so contagious in years before. So guys might be like, you know, I'm going to the children's hospital on Thursday. Just roll with me, bro. Come on. Like, and guys will be like, okay, cool. You know, I'll pick you up at this time and then we'll go get breakfast here. Or I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go do this at this school. And guys are like, well, the kids over there are funny. I want to go. I want to see what's going on. So it just was that community service aspect. And then Coach Fleck pushing us to be able to do it in a positive fashion, not like, oh, you're going to get in trouble if you don't serve. But in the team meeting rooms, he would show like the funny pictures of guys when they went to like elementary schools, or like when Rodney would like paint his face with kids and different things like that. And it started to become just the norm. And I just love that about the culture.
I know that you have a lot of PJ Fleck stories, and probably some great ones knowing your personality. Do you have one PJ Fleck story that you're always going to remember that maybe involves you?
This is a big story right here. Ultimate story. This is a inside joke of the team story, but now I'm about to let it out since I'm
going. Here we go. Staying in the house exclusive.
Okay. 2017 Iowa week. We were in the weight room, and this is the lift right before we go to practice and things like that. And I was talking to a couple of other D linemen. I'm like, Coach Fleck is here. So much is changing. Let's start a new tradition. Let's do something. And guys were like, well, what do you have in mind? And something that we're really big on in our culture is striking. So when you hit the man, you know, palms up, different things like that, and just hitting somebody a certain type of way where they kind of like feel it. They feel the pressure and they feel the strike. So I was like, how about every time that Coach Fleck says Iowa, we say strike? And guys were like, okay, like we'll do it. I'm like, not just like say it, but like scream it. So all the D-line was like, cool, like we got your back. Just try it out in the team meeting. We go in the team meeting and Coach Fleck starts, and then he goes, you all know our opponent this week is Iowa. So I'm sitting in the middle of the room and I yell, strike! I'm the only guy that yells strike out of the whole D-line. So now the whole room is like, what's up with this guy right here? And I'm just looking at Coach Fleck. Coach Fleck's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. He was like, why did you do that? I was like, can I talk to you later? He was like, yeah. And then he kept rolling. So after he was like, why did you do that? I kind of explained that everybody kind of left me hanging and I wanted to start something new. And he was like, Winston, you know, I just love you because you don't care what anybody else thinks. You're just going to go with your own flow. And I just really like that. And then that was kind of like the end of the conversation. So we never talked about it again, but that's like my most embarrassing story. And it has to do with Coach Fleck.
So if you say strike and mention Winston DeLattiboudere, then PJ Fleck's going to know what you're talking about.
The memory might be a little hazy, but I'm probably sure he's going to remember what you're talking about.
One of the things that I think really makes Winston different than a lot of people is the difference he made in the community during his time with the Gophers. And one thing really stands out in my memory is I remember Winston coming up and doing a press conference with us. He had just hosted a school supplies drive at a practice, and he had remembered that some relatives in Jamaica did not have caps and gowns for graduation. Made a mental note of it, and then he thought about how he could come up with a way to give back to not only Jamaica but also the local community. And you had a relationship with the Hmong International Academy in the Twin Cities.
Yep.
And not only that, but you gave some supplies to the school in Jamaica. What was that school supplies drive like? I really remember it. I thought it was an awesome community service outreach that you did. And it really seemed like people embraced it, and fans brought a ton of supplies to the practice. Did that shatter your expectations?
It definitely did. And I was talking to my mom the night before, and I was like, Mom, like, what if nobody brings anything? Different things like that. And she was just like, you have to have faith. Like, God put this on your heart for a reason. So you have to know that something is going to come out of this. And when I'm telling you, I was looking at all the people rolling in, kind of like as practice was going along, like it just warmed my heart because I had this small little idea and it kind of just blew up into this big thing after a certain amount of time. And all the Gopher fans, I can't thank them enough because everybody who came and supported really saw the passion that I had, for those two places. So I couldn't be more thankful for the experience myself.
You had the chance to work with the Hmong International Academy during your time at the University of Minnesota. What did you take away from that experience that you'll carry with you forever?
What I did at Hmong International actually was pretty interesting, and it was teaching lessons through theater. So we were telling stories and kind of like learning about the kids through theater and stuff like that. And I haven't, been in a school play since about third or, fourth grade. And I'm in there acting, doing Hansel and Gretel. So they got this big dude in the front of the class and I'm jumping on stuff and, I'm making the kids laugh and different things like that. But I feel like the biggest thing was just being able to make kids comfortable in their own skin and make them comfortable in doing, what they like to do. Because a lot of the kids, they were like, telling stories or like acting like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to do it because, this is what I want to do. I think this is cool. So like maybe Monday or Tuesdays, like a couple kids would be like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to act. By Friday or Saturday, those kids are like, okay, I want to be Hansel, or I want to be Gretel, or I want to be the witch. And it's just like you see kids start to come out of their shell. And I feel like it's important for the instructor to be able to show that they have a passion for what they're teaching or what they're instructing in order to be able to expect the kids to be able to do the same. So.
And you used a lot of the skills that you learned as in your master's when you pursued that in youth development and leadership. How are you planning to use that when you're done with football to make a difference in the lives of kids? Is that something that you're really, really passionate about and want to make a future career out of?
100%. I'm going to keep pushing for education for everybody. I feel like that's the biggest thing. You have such a drop off in kind of like the school system these days, whether it's between countries or between states or between cities. This school over here is getting something that this school isn't. And I'm trying to just even the playing field with everything. So anything that I can do to be able to contribute to that is something that I want to be an advocate for.
As you sit back, and I want to transition into the final phase of your career with the Gophers. You sit back now, you reflect, you played for a different regime, you played for PJ Fleck, you had a lot of different experiences, and you're one of the people that's going to be remembered that laid the foundation for this program moving into the future. When you sit back, what do you think you're going to remember the most about your career with the Gophers?
I feel like that defense that last year is going to be something that I kind of remember. I mean, you can think about the hard winter workouts, and you can think about the grueling summer workouts and different things like that, but the love and passion that you play for is something that you probably won't forget. It was like you were going out onto a field with somebody who felt like was your blood brother every single time, and it was like, if you touch my brother, I'm going to hurt you. So that's kind of what made it so special. No coach had to motivate us to come in for film work. No coach had to motivate us to want to come to practice. No coach had to motivate us to want to play the game for each other, not just for the win or the loss. So I feel like that's something that, especially if, I'm blessed enough to be able to coach my children one day, that I'm going to push to instill in them, that it's the camaraderie of a team that's going to last past kind of like the wins, losses, and stats.
And that's something that I really think, Winston, you were a leader of this team. And every time I talk to young defensive players, I mean, it didn't matter who it was. If it was a linebacker, it was a defensive lineman, a defensive back, your name came up almost all the time as someone who made a difference in their career. Not even that, but people were talking about in the classroom and in life, you really made a difference. How much did you take pride in that leadership role in developing some of those younger people that are going to be taking on big roles now with a few older players graduating?
Right. The first thing I would always start with on the field was when I got on people about kind of like small things, hands on their hips, or not knowing their assignment, or not knowing things that they should know, is I'm not going to be here forever. That was the first thing I would always say, and if you ask anybody, they'll remember me saying that I'm not going to be here forever, and I'm not there anymore. So guys like Asezio Tomawu and Boye Mafe, I remember when they came in, the minute they walked on campus, Muhammad, and now those guys have called me over the past few weeks in the off season, like, man, like, being a leader is no joke. Like, I kind of understand where you were coming from X amount of years ago when you used to talk to me. So I feel like it all starts very small. So you do things like you go take guys out to eat, even if you don't have the money to take two people out to eat. You just ask them, you want to go get an ice cream cone from McDonald's, just something small, get out the house, find out what type of music they like, video games, movies, different things like that. And you bond with them that way, because when you have a relationship off the field, it's going to prime the relationship on the field. After you get that relationship off the field, it's 100% go for you to be able to be an open person and an open leader for them on the field. So some guys are like, why isn't this guy listening to me? Why isn't that guy listening to me? And I'm like, well, have you went over their house and helped them with their homework? Have you went over there and taught them how to play a card game, spades, Uno, different things like that? No, I haven't. Well, those are the things you have to do. You have to build a relationship with guys before you expect them to respect you at a significant level on the field. You have to have that relationship off the field. So that was something I always clung to. And those guys are going to be great. They're going to be legends. And I told, Asezi and guys like that, like, hey, man, look, one day you're going to be better than me. And if you're not, I'm going to kick your butt, because I was teaching you everything so you could have been better than me. So he's going to go ahead and pass it down to MJ, and, so on and so forth. So I'm extremely blessed to be in the position where I can shape the next generation.
How excited are you to pass that torch and just watch those guys now develop and go into bigger roles in the defense? Do you see those guys being able to slide right in and make a difference this season?
Without a doubt. And I feel like if they really took everything that they needed to last season, that they'll be a better defensive line, better defense, better team than we were, if they're able to pick up on all the mistakes that we made. But the transition is just going to be with the chemistry of the guys and very simple things like that. Guys have to know what makes other guys tick, how to talk to other guys, how to lead other guys. And that's the biggest part. The football is the easy part. You're already an athlete. You already made it to the University of Minnesota. If Coach Fleck didn't think that you could make it to Minnesota, he wouldn't have brought you in Minnesota. So the next part is the chemistry, the love, and the passion for each other to be able to play that game. So I know guys are going to do great. I know they're going to do elite. I'm sorry, not great. But yeah, I couldn't be more excited to be able to watch. And Coach Fleck has everybody coming back with open arms to be on the sideline and stuff like that. So it's almost going to be like I never left in the first place.
Winston, I know they're really going to miss your leadership, and we really appreciate you taking time to come in. Where can fans check out your pro day video that you posted?
So it is on my Twitter at W_D_III, as well as my Instagram at W_D_III. But it is also on YouTube. So it is a link, and it's just Winston DeLattiboudere Pro Day Drills, and you could just type it in the search bar.
I'll be sure to put that in the link in the bottom description of the video, so fans can go out and check out Winston's video. So Winston, I really appreciate you stopping by today. Best of luck. Please stay in touch. I know Gophers fans are going to miss seeing you on the field, but they'll be following along to see what's next with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Winston DeLattiboudere for stopping in today. I want to remind you guys, like and subscribe on YouTube at Gopher Hole. Please go and do that right now. It helps us. It's free. You can also check out content on Gopher Hole on Twitter. You can go over to my page at Daniel House NFL to check out Gophers and Vikings content. So much coming your way with the NFL draft. Gophers, we're trying to manufacture a lot of content right now to keep you guys entertained. So stay tuned. Check out our accounts. Like and subscribe on Gopher Hole, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.